Hi there, this is part 3 of the video series on the discussion of religion and spirituality. I'd just like to make a point on the second part I was talking about. I do believe that, I will say as well, that the theme of hell, the idea of hell, is not just obviously a Catholic thing, it's in most mainstream religions, monotheistic monotheistic religions of kind of heaven and hell, and this idea of an eternal hell and eternal heaven. And I really do believe, for want of a better word, that we are moving into a new paradigm, and the old construct, the old kind of sense of our reality of God, light, heaven, all powerful, and then hell, darkness, evil, torture. I think we're really honestly moving away from that, and I think that's a very good thing. The sense of hell, I do really believe that this concept of the eternal hell was largely used as a theme of social control, as an order of social control. And I think the great thing about science, reason and the Enlightenment and things, that we were able to break away from the control of mostly male priests and vicars and male preachers from churches and monotheistic religions that basically, put fear into the population of hell and things and got them to do what they wanted. There's a whole catalogue of how the history of religion have done many bad things, and in many ways, to me, I can totally understand. Many people in my life, I know within my family and friends and other circles, a lot of, especially my friends, some of my family, are very anti-religious. Not the fact that they would, they respect people's views, but they believe that, they see what wrong religion has done in the world and how people are controlled and are very intolerant of each other. And it really begs the question to me, which I love anyone watching, to make a comment on, if you feel so, is that, do you think it's religion that's inherently flawed, or do you think it's the people that practice a religion who in a sense corrupt it and practice it wrongly, in a way that harms others, in a way that breeds intolerance and hatred? I mean, it's a very touchy subject to a lot of people, because obviously religion is at the heart of many nations and how billions of people live their lives. So obviously it's a very big theme. But to me, from my sense of rationality and reasoning and what I've observed, is that it's been amazing. It's been an amazing breakthrough for humanity to break free of the kind of main control dramas, in a sense, that religions have had upon us, and especially in the West. I mean, there's many things about Western society I find very difficult, and I think we're really losing it. We're losing a great sense of community, which in a sense, internet and things like YouTube are kind of replacing in many ways. But and I do feel capitalism in the West is a very big issue, and capitalism itself needs to evolve, and the people, who push things into society, who are doing things non-sustainably and purely for profit, which is where I think it's really, they say money's the root of all evil, but really it's a kind of drive, putting money and profit before people, like profit before people, profit before planet, profit before anything. So many companies and the NHS in Britain and many other things, that profit margins and saving money is the pinnacle. It's kind of, that's how you scale things. Anyway, this talk is about religion and spirituality, so I won't go much into that, maybe another video. So I do really feel that a lot of religions are largely the way they practice and the way they preach has been a lot about social control. I mean, my understanding, I have quite a what would you call it, kind of an existentialist understanding of things. That might be the wrong word, but I do believe that there are entities, almost like archons, I've heard them called, or god entities, that are, I believe there is the one source, the one, and under that not necessarily under, because I don't believe in hierarchies, but separated from that are many other, spiritual forces that interact with the planet and humanity, and interact with many other things. I think there's a whole myriad, multi-dimensional, infinite expanse of spiritual reality and spirit realms and dimensions, and realms of all sorts. But I do really believe that these kind of God entities, archons, or I can't really find the words for them, but kind of overarching entities that come to the earth and are with humanity, and have kind of they try to reach down to us and get us to believe in them, in their way of life, and what they practice. And so each people from all around the world certainly influenced by these God entities, by these gods of these different forces. And I think the essence of a lot of religions are pointing at the one source, and they interpret that interpretate that differently, and different instructions are given by the one source to them. But really, to me, the one source is all loving, it's all compassionate, all understanding, it's forgiveness, it's understanding, it's learning through our own mistakes and facing that back at us through our experiences of a soul, of a reincarnating soul. That's what I've experienced. It's not really a belief to me, it's an experience, and whether people think I'm insane for believing that, that's their belief, or their thought. But to me, I've experienced past lives, and I've experienced spirituality, the spirit realms, and have an understanding of, have visions of other dimensions, of multiple complexities and variations, And I know there's so much out there. When the mind expands, when you really open your mind, in my experience, you can see that it's just almost endless possibilities. But getting back to this point, I do really believe there's overarching God entities which wish for people to believe in them, which then energizes them, and they can gather the soul at the end of the life. So if you follow what one of these overarching entities wishes, and you practice what it does, it's feeding that energy, and it feeds you. So in a sense, it is a force of light. But I do believe not all forces of light, in my experiences, are always for the good. Anyway, I'm getting into complicated matters. This is kind of my shamanic understanding of things, that everything is spirit and thought is energy, and every thought connects to an energy that exists as a universal force. And so beliefs we have connect to a certain entity and energies, and I think it's very complicated and stuff like that. But that's really my experiences of psychosis and shamanism, and in a sense what I try to practice, a true sense of wizardry. And anyway, I'm blabbering on a bit, but what I want to get back to is religions, and I suppose I have been largely influenced by Buddhism a lot of my thought, and shamanism, like I said, and I really feel that religions can be good for a lot of people. But I think we're coming to a point in human history, especially in Western culture, and where we're really questioning how valuable and how beneficial religion is to us. I mean, we're starting to break through. I mean, because do we really need religion to give us a sense of morality? Do we really need religion to give us a sense of right and wrong? I mean, I have my spirituality, and to me that's been a great source of motivation, belief, experience, comforting, but not. But it's not there to be comforting. It's there to. I believe any spirituality, for me, is about applying oneself to the world, and so in a sense like a philosophy. A philosophy, you may have a hobby that you're into philosophy, but unless you really find something positive and beneficial you can take from that philosophy and apply it to your life, then in a sense it's just a hobby, it's something you like to do. But applied philosophy and applied spirituality if it enriches one's life and gives motivation to give, and try and benefit the human race, try and benefit the world, try and benefit the state of society and the orders of the earth, so it can be better for other people. I mean, I have a great experience of, I have a diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia, and I have experienced schizophrenia on and off for many years. And many people think, oh, you're insane, you're mental or whatever. But really, I do believe that psychosis it's almost like you're just opening up the door to many good and bad things, sort of thing, if you know what I mean. So if you apply psychosis and understand how what you see can have meaning, and apply, kind of take meaning from your experiences and understand many of those things you go through in psychosis are actually very symbolic. So anyway, yeah, that goes back, that kind of ties into my sense of interest into shamanism. I was very into shamanism before I had my first experience of psychosis, but these days I kind of try and stay a bit more grounded. So without going into too controversial terms on monotheistic religions, I would like to, talk about, spirituality and religion, because I do really think, like I was saying earlier, that we are getting to a point, especially in the West, I'm not sure in the fields of awareness I come across, is that people, the population in Britain, and I think in America as well, and many other places in Europe, we are really kind of contemplating now the kind of real true value and beneficial attributes that religion does have for us. Because I mean, now with kind of understandings of psychology and philosophy and the way the human mind works, the human child grows up, we've really been able to study what really affects people and why they make certain choices, why they act in certain ways, what certain dynamics are they playing out. And I think really in many ways we don't need the religion anymore to tell us, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, because we have a greater understanding through the amount of information that's shared between the human race these days is incredible. I mean, psychology, inner child dynamics, inner child therapy, the list goes on, doesn't it? But criminal psychology, and I think it all points to the understanding, really, that there are many reasons, and there's always a reason why we act the way we do. If you look really into someone's life, and if you almost be able to see as a kind of, a spiritual entity or a spirit following that person's life throughout its whole life, for every experience and thought and feeling, you would really understand why they've acted in that way. Whereas if you're just an onlooker and you bumped into someone and they've had a go at you, you'd be like, oh, God, really pissed off with them. But if you really understand, if you're able to kind of almost follow them as a ghost and read their thoughts and their feelings, you'd really understand why they've acted in that way. And I think that principle, that concept, that idea can be applied to kind of everything that happens. If you're really aware of the contributing forces in which people make certain decisions and choices and actions, you really understand that it's almost like a cyclic expression of their experiences and how they've reacted. I mean, that does go upon the choice of free will again, but I'm trying to stick to what the subject is about. So yeah, I think in the past religion is kind of, maybe maybe the mainstream, the general population wasn't able to access as much information, obviously, as what we can now. And so they were more easily susceptible and receptive to the teachings of religions. And religions can be great good for a lot of people, don't get me wrong, but I really think we are moving into a new age where reason, psychology, philosophy, spirituality is moving forward really fast, and unless religions move with it, I think people are moving further and further away from this sense of religion, the kind of monotheistic, well, mainly patriarchal teachings of religious dogmas. I mean, Buddhism has been a great help to me. Zen Buddhism, aspects of Taoism as well, Taoism has been really beneficial to me. Certain principles in Christianity. I mean, Jesus, he seemed like one of the most coolest guys ever. You know, he spoke his truth. He taught we should all love each other. That we shouldn't be greedy. That we should give to people who need things more than we do. You know, share the earth. And the great thing about the internet and YouTube, for example, is that we can be part of a community and share our thoughts and feelings and be part of something bigger, which really, I suppose, is a great attraction towards religious communities and religion. It's kind of like your part. It gives you meaning and understanding. It enables you to have answers, and that is something the human soul and the human mind craves for so much. You know, to have reasons why things happen and comfort that, you know, what we are being watched over. And I really feel there is the source, the one that knows all, that feels all, that is in a sense kind of like a you know, presence that is everywhere. And but I do believe there are other. Well, I experience there's spirit guides, angels, all sorts of forces, spirits of all sorts that you know, watch over us, guide over us, manipulate us, control us, or try to, you know. And that's been my experience within psychosis and shamanism and my spirituality. And I really do feel, you know, we are moving into a new realm where we are more freer to choose our own way of life, to believe what we want to believe, to experience things in many different ways and not be persecuted and ostracised for that. Where in the past, from what I've read of history and people report on historical terms of what happened, many people were persecuted and killed for just believing in different things and what these religions taught. But obviously, without putting down religions too much, obviously the human race has evolved culturally, intellectually a lot since those times. So, you know, back in those days when a lot of the atrocities were made, the human race were much less intelligent and educated and thoughtful, and so these kind of crimes were committed a lot. And I don't want to put anyone down who's practicing a religion at all, and I don't wish to dislike religions, because I think they can offer many great benefits to certain people, to many people. But I think it's also very good to be aware of how religion has, you know, has affected the human race negatively. How people have been in control of very authoritarian dictatorship ways of life, and you know, making us believe things. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what I want to say. I apologise for being quite scatty. I'm on lots of caffeine and that today, so I'm a bit kind of hyper. But I hope some of that's been of any use. And yeah, I'll do the next part when I'm a bit more relaxed. Thank you.